Welcome to the Pintastic Podcast, a podcast about growing profitability the right way with sustainable systems so you can be found first without tantrums over tech and trading sleep for success. Prepare yourself for mind-blowing discussions and actionable tips focused on Pinterest strategies, funnel marketing, and everything in between with your host, Laura Rike. So let's make Pinterest profitable for you.
If your zone of genius is helping women release anxiety and tap into divine guidance, but Pinterest feels like it should be on your list, this episode is going to feel like an extreme exhale. I want to introduce the fact that Pinterest is not a pressure platform. It's going to be an evergreen, slow burn that works best when you create with intention and then let the work happen on the platform while you continue to live your life in your zone of genius. So today I have Cary, and Cary is helping women with anxiety or those with big goals who keep hitting walls behind the CEO of their minds, manifesting their dreams, and receive divine guidance through channeling. So welcome, Cary.
Thank you so much. And I loved what you said earlier. It just made me feel like I'm in the right place. Pinterest is the right place to be.
Amazing. Yeah, I want to help everybody who's listening align with that because I think a lot of times we have this preconceived notion that Pinterest has to be like this big, huge undertaking. I've actually found Pinterest works better in terms of that alignment than social media or some other marketing things that you have to do in your business, right? Now, with that being said, it's not the end all be all. So that statement isn't to come across that Pinterest is going to take over and you don't have to do anything else. That's definitely not what I'm saying. We have to all have a well-rounded marketing strategy for our business, but Pinterest doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to focus on this big plan that has to be done every single day or things like that. The awesome thing is Pinterest is an audience of seekers and dreamers and curious people who are already searching and they're learning. And so they're already going to be searching for what you are offering, right? How to calm anxiety fast or morning routines to bring in more peace. This is where they're going to be able to find that wisdom. And so to be able to align that with what you offer already is just like a match made in heaven.
I love that. The words that you just said are like, oh, I have some ideas for some pins now.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to go over the biggest thing that I know you had posted in the forum when we were getting connected was consistency, right? And so I want to talk about that, but first I'm going to take a second to back up and let's talk about why this is going to be the best fit for you and your business. So most people know Pinterest is not actually social media. So did you know that?
Yeah, isn't it like the number 1 or 2 search engines?
Yeah, it can be. So it is a search platform. So it's not necessarily considered a search engine, but it's a visual search platform. So you don't have to beat an algorithm to be able to get found. Now, we still use the algorithm. I call it the Pinterest computer versus the Pinterest user. So no big deal. But the nice thing about this is you can have evergreen discovery. So your pins can last longer than just a day or two or a month or two in that scrolling feed. So you don't have to deal with that hamster wheel of content creation.
That's so freeing.
Yeah. And the other thing that's super nice too is for your niche that you're in, Cary, it can be evergreen, right? It doesn't have to be trendy or this new thing that they have to do. Like it's something that we want to be consistent with and work on and enjoy throughout the process, right? And so your pins don't have to be that loud, annoying, or trendy, dancing, TikTok-y feel, right? So as long as we have those going into the consistency piece and we know how it's best fit for us, that's really going to help us propel forward. So one of the things that I want to do just while we're getting into this is look at your profile that we have here. And what I really like about it and the way that you have it is it's not just your name or your business name. You have other things that are really going to bring in that side of Pinterest that is the evergreen feel, the keywords that people are looking for. And so I really like emotional intelligence and mental wellness. I will challenge you on the coach just because you have a more specific area that you can help them in. And so I think to be able to find what type of coach they are searching for definitely could help you in that area.
Okay.
The other thing that I really like is in here, you're talking about feeling stuck or emotions. And you also have hot words like holistic healing journey. And so I think that's really great to be able to, one, make sure that you are found in this search profile, but also really help them relate to it in a quick manner. One of the things that I would say is focus maybe a little bit more on the multifaceted side and conjoining it. So we have about 2.3 seconds, that's not scientific, to capture their attention. Typically, we capture people's attention on the pins and not in our profile. However, our profile falls under the category of the Pinterest computer side. And so I would encourage you to focus on this as you have the holistic, you have emotional healing essential oils. And so I would take this and just kind of wordsmith it a little bit to, I love the question, sick of feeling anxious or stuck. I feel like that kind of resonates. But I would also like to see in that next sentence holistic healing journey, personal growth, and maybe bringing in the fact of we do this through my framework or these modalities or things like that so that they can understand before they have to really continue reading. So that way, if they do land on your profile, they understand a little bit more about you in a quick manner. And then that opens up the opportunity for you to keyword your modalities or your process in this profile.
Okay, that makes sense.
Awesome. So let's talk more about the consistency. So you have pins on here. I can see that you've been pinning consistently. You have a ton of stuff already linked on here, but I don't know in terms of consistency what that looks like for you. So can you talk to me about that a little bit and break down what your strategy has been or ideology has been so far with the platform?
All right, so I would say my goal was to pin every day, or at least Monday through Friday. And I have not done that, I don't think ever. Or maybe like a week or two here and there. And then I hired somebody to do my pins for me. And then I felt like maybe that was a little bit too much work because there was miscommunication. Then I kind of just stopped doing it for a while.
Okay.
And well, before I stopped, I was getting good traction and getting a lot of views. It was I can't even remember. It was more than what I'm getting now.
Okay.
And when I stopped, it kind of just went down to zero pretty much. So like, all right, I'm going to give this another go. So I've been trying to give it another go, but I'm still not consistent. I really don't understand my problem. I know marketing should be like my first activity every day. Just get it done. It takes 15 minutes. It's not like a huge thing, a huge time consuming thing. So I really have been all over the place with when I'm posting, but I did one today, this morning, and I've been more consistent over the past few weeks, but certainly not to my everyday goal. And maybe that's even too much for me to do right now. and I should scale back and just maybe do 3 days a week. I don't know.
So, and let's tackle a couple things that you've stated. One, it is totally okay to have a goal of once a day every day. It is actually totally okay to do 3 times a week if that's what your goal is. There's a lot of experts out there that are saying you have to pin 5, 15, 25 times a day to get any traction on the platform. And I'm going to debunk that right here. That's not true. You can pin 3 times a week as long as you are consistent with it. So, my follow up question for you then is, are you using a scheduler or are you scheduling the pins natively with Pinterest Scheduler?
I use Go High Level for my backend platform, and it connects to Pinterest. So I can schedule, and I have a few times, and I create something and then I post it, and then I say, okay, I'll do one tomorrow. And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. So I would love to get into a schedule for myself.
Perfect.
If I could at least even do, here are 3 posts for the week and get them all done, like say on a Monday, and then not have to think about it again for the rest of the week.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's where we want to get you to. So I think for this process of really being able to help you with 2 to 3 new fresh pins per week and being able to have that alignment of creating that, we're going to focus more heavily on the batch creation side of things for you. Okay. So for batch creation, we can focus on it in really like a 4-step type process. Okay. So, one of the things that I have created is a template that I provide to my results students. And we actually use this internally for my clients as well. It's a full content planner, but it has a focus on Pinterest. And you can do this on your own spreadsheet, in your own Excel document. It is available on my shop on Simply Creative Digital for anybody who's listening, but this is simple for you to also do. So you want to create a list of content topics or pillars, so to speak, that you want to focus on. So for example, and if these don't align, please let me know and we can adjust them for you. This is my limited knowledge of where you're at with your content, right? But we could do things like managing anxiety or even just anxiety in general, because that could be a main pillar topic. And then we could do manifesting goals, and we'll do another one. Throw another one for me out there that you would like to focus on.
Essential oils.
Perfect. Okay. And so you're going to create this list. I personally have 4 or 5 that I typically do. And then what you're going to do is there's going to be 2 different areas of this for you. You're going to want to make sure you plan out the boards. We're going to skip that process for today. I have other trainings and podcasts on board creation that will help you with that. We're going to assume that we already have our profile set up. We already have been getting traffic on it like we talked about just a couple minutes ago, right? And so we're going to go more into the keyword and the planning side of it. So I'm going to take these 3 things and then I go into keyword planning. And so my main keyword is going to be anxiety. And then my next main keyword is going to be manifesting. And this is where it gets really cool is you can keep all of these tracked in here. And so for the first time you do this, it's going to take a little bit of extra time for you. So you will have to try to block that out. But we want to find different keywords that show up for anxiety. And so we can go into here and simply start. There are other tools and modalities to do this, but just go to the search bar and start typing in anxiety. See what people are typing in, are searching for, and then you can see in here like anxiety collage, what people think anxiety is, how to cope with anxiety. One of the cool things that I would do is open this in an incognito window. You won't be able to see it right here, but when you do that, it will open up into that breakout window. And then what you can do is click on learn more. And when I do that, that really gives us this well-rounded idea of what other phrases are people talking about that we want to talk about, right? And so one of the things that pulls up under that is instead of anxiety, people are searching up calming techniques. How? And so it just shows us kind of what those are. And I can put that back up into the search or click on it and it'll pull up for us. This is what it will look like when it pulls up for us in a regular tab. And so you can see calming techniques as a keyword here. And this is how Pinterest knows that anxiety can be put under calming techniques. So now you're telling it where to go. And then if you look at related interests, you're going to have all these other ways to start talking about these keywords. And so now I would start to focus on, okay, under anxiety, people really start to search for calming techniques. And sometimes I just put the link here where I found it so that I can keep track of everything. But then what you can do is you can be like, okay, breath work, coping skills. And so now you can say breath work and healthy coping skills, right? And so now you're going to have this huge list of different, I'll pull up what mine looks like if it lets me. Board, we'll do keyword. There we go. So this is what it will look like once you have it fully filled out.
So I have collected some keywords, but I haven't done what you're doing. I've used like Pinterest Inspector.
Yes. Yep. And so I use Pin Inspector as well. And that's how my lists get this long.
Yeah.
And that's totally cool and great. Pin Inspector is an amazing tool. I just also like to show both sides of both options because I want to make sure that if someone isn't in the ability to right now purchase a platform, you can do it with a number of different searches like ABC search, related interests, things like that. So under Pin Inspector, related interests actually show up as annotations. It is a newer addition, so make sure that you update the software that you have. If you don't have Pin Inspector and you'd like my review on it or you would like a link to purchase it for a discount, go ahead and check the show notes. I will post that below for you guys. But this is what mine will look like. This is what yours will look like once you start to have all of your keywords fleshed out. I highly suggest this new Pinterest planner that I'm showing. We actually revamped this whole thing to really have everything that you need for full content strategy. So it's all right there. Plus, then you can track all your analytics, what's actually happening, what you're making money from. So we won't get overly into all that. I do have a training for each tab. So even if you purchase it without me diving into it, you can see how to use each tab. Okay. Now that we do have some keywords though, we'll pretend like it's fully fleshed out. Keep that, right? Because you can always come back to this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of these to focus on. So for right now, I'm going to focus on breath work. And we're going to go back in to our Pinterest account and type in breathwork and just see what pulls up. And you can see techniques, healing, facilitator, anything that is going to be helpful. This is what I call pin hacking. So I've trademarked this coin phrase. If you've ever heard of funnel hacking, similar thing.
Yeah.
I type in the keyword I want to focus on and I start to look at what I see. What are the pin designs, right? Make sure that I have templates aligned with how people are consuming already. Okay, so this does take a little bit of front work. Once that's done, you're going to want anywhere from 10 to 15 different templates. And then you can go in and say, okay, I really like breathwork techniques. So now I'm going to go and batch create content for the keyword of breathwork techniques. And so we would put whatever the title is here. So for example, I'm going to say breathwork techniques, right? And we can look at what are some of the terms or questions that people are asking. what is the best one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we could make sure if we have content that aligns with what is the best type of breathwork technique, then we can link to it. So do you have something that talks about breathwork first?
No, but what my method actually does use breathing technique.
Awesome. Okay. So I have the website up here. And so let's just talk about, how about mentorship or shop? What would you like to promote? Like, what would be your first thing if you're going to batch create?
So I have a few things that I like for people to do is get on a call, or I have a free PDF download and a free anxiety release video.
Perfect. So let's do your call to action for the free PDF.
Okay.
So 7 steps to release anxiety and build confidence. And so in this 7 steps, we talk about self-doubt, overthinking, and your method to rewire your mind for confidence. So again, if we're talking in here, do you talk about breath work at all?
So the process that I do is breath work, but I don't tell people how to do it on their own.
Perfect. Okay. So let's pick a different keyword. You tell me what.
Well, I help people identify their limiting beliefs.
Perfect. We're going to do that then. Okay. And so here's a really good example. What are limiting beliefs and how to overcome them? Now, we talk about limiting beliefs in this. And so what we want to focus on is what are limiting beliefs and how to overcome. So what are limiting beliefs and how to overcome? And then we could go back to Google and type in, how do you identify limiting beliefs, right? And so we're going to start putting these titles in here, because what's really cool is we can turn around and take these titles. What is the root cause of limiting beliefs? And if these are things that align with what you talk about in this download, you can use these as titles, and all of the URLs will go to your topic. So then you would post them all the same here. And sometimes for my sanity, I like to block this out, right? And so you can like merge these cells together. So it's one link. Yeah, one link vertically. And then that way, so it's all to the same place. And so now you have your keywords, the title, and your Pinterest templates, and you just pop in these titles into the templates you already have. And then you have now, if you're going to do 3 a week, 3 designs that you do, right? And it will get quicker once we already have this foundation set up of the content planning and the keywords and things like that. I know that was a lot.
That was a lot, but it all sounds really good. But I'm going to back up and ask a question about that. When you say template, what do you mean? Coming up with a few different Canva templates and then just repurposing the same images and everything?
Yes. So great question. I actually don't repurpose the images.
Okay.
So there are ways to use AI with Pinterest, and there are ways to stay away from AI with Pinterest. One of the ways that I use it is I actually have Canva help me design backgrounds or images that are not like of people or things that can like get the 7 fingers, right? But I will do that in Canva, and I will have them design that for me so I can take the same layout, but then have 3 or 4 different watercolor backgrounds or raindrop backgrounds or things that relate to reducing anxiety or all the things that we're talking about, right? And so when we do that with AI, it's a completely fresh image. And so that will stay a completely fresh pin, because now we have a new image with a new title and a new description posted to the platform.
Okay.
There is a gray area. Some people say you can use the same pin design, but then change the title and description. I personally do not do that for my clients or my students.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it's all completely fresh. But again, a way to do that quickly is just ask Canva to create you a background. You can say a pink whimsical background or whatever it is that you're looking for, and it's 2 seconds and it will have a bunch of different images for you to use.
Okay. I haven't tried AI with Canva yet.
It's so fun. I actually have a training where I went over it in my Facebook group. So if you're interested in looking at that,
Yeah.
it's really easy. You just give it the prompt and you can choose if you want square or the horizontal or vertical style. I always do vertical regardless of what I'm trying to achieve, because then if it's a social graphic, a header graphic, or a Pinterest graphic, I still have that vertical size that I can resize to any of the three.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on doing a pin image versus doing a video?
Yeah, great. Both. Short answer. Now, let's go back to consistency. Do you create video already?
In my community that I have, I do like weekly clearing for people, like one program. So what I call a program is a limiting belief. So I
Mhm.
clear one program every week for this community. I could probably post some of that sometimes, but that's
Yeah.
a paid community, so I don't want to do it free all the time. So I do have a little bit of content, but not a ton.
So, in terms of repurposing that, I also have paid communities. And even if you are taking and clearing that one project, or I'm sorry, what did you call it? Was it
Program?
program? Even if you are clearing that one program, I guarantee you it probably takes longer than 1 minute.
Mhm.
So if you focus on the 30 seconds that you can grab from that and then lead to where it's going to make the most sense, then 100% use that. Pinterest video should be anywhere from 15 to 45 seconds, and it's typically best around 20 to 30 seconds. So you wouldn't feel like you're giving away too much from your paid program with a 20-second snippet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I definitely would do that. And then you can lead to multiple different places. With video, when we are repurposing it, make sure that we do still follow the same guidelines as Pinterest does for a title on the video, whether that's you creating a static image and using it as a cover on the video, or whether that's having captions that say a title keyword in the captions. You want to make sure that when you upload it, it has that on there so it can still be visually searched.
Okay. So always put a title in.
Yes, always. But yeah, I think there are different reasons to do static versus video in your strategy. I have a client who actually we've been using video to increase the impressions and visibility of the account, which has then in turn increased the static outbound clicks. And so there is going to be reasons to do that. Just keep an eye on the analytics to make sure it's actually providing benefit to you and you're not just repurposing for namesake.
Okay. Okay. I was just curious, what do you think of my traffic? I noticed that my traffic's gone up a little bit, but what would you like to see for traffic that starts to convert people?
Yeah, so really that's kind of a weighted question, to be honest, because it's going to be different for every individual. Everybody's niche and targeting parameters are going to be different based on the keywords and things that you're focusing on. So, what I would suggest is looking at when you are focusing this batch creation on a specific keyword, how is that keyword ranking? Are you actually being found when you're logged out of Pinterest? Are you finding your pin for that search with that keyword? If you're not, and you're not getting the traffic from it, then there's something out of misalignment, whether it's your boards, whether it's the keyword, then you can kind of play around with that. But that's really the way to start seeing, like, if there's a breakdown somewhere. Now, if you are getting traffic, but you're looking to scale, then that's a different thing, right? And so it's hard to say, like, okay, in your niche, you should be getting X amount of traffic. it really is going to be dependent on how consistent are you, how targeted are you. I have had a client in the past who was targeted to just New York because she was an attorney. And so she really wanted to focus on just a specific location. And that really takes that down a notch. And then that's going to limit your traffic, right? Because you have to find that specific individual.
Right.
So unfortunately, without having like a big data list of the past like 6 months of your data, I can't give you that answer. But hopefully that helps you kind of know what to look for when you're looking.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it does actually. So thank you for that. I feel like there's something that I'm not doing that's going the right direction because I have some eyeballs on there and I have some people clicking on it, but they're not taking that definite call to action. So I think like I'm not hitting the right people or my download pages aren't exactly what they need to be. So it'll be interesting to explore different keywords and see how that shifts.
Yeah, and it can be the targeting that you've had previously. Also, you can use third-party programs to look at where people are going throughout the process of your landing page and what they're clicking on. And that might be able to help provide more data and information around once they're getting there, what's happening, so that you can determine if it's a Pinterest targeting problem, if it's a landing page problem, because all of those are kind of going to go hand in hand until you figure out who the outlier is.
Right. Okay. I think Go High Level does that too.
They do, yes. Yep. And I also use Hotjar on Go High Level. I'm also on Go High Level. And then that will give you the heat maps and the clicks on where on the landing page they are clicking. So if you have a button that's below the fold, are they getting to that? If you have testimonials down at the bottom, are they making it to that point? Do you need to move things around? It's really insightful once you get them off of Pinterest onto that page that your goal is.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for letting me kind of dive deep into your account here.
Wow.
For everyone who is listening, if you want a super simple way to start this rhythm for yourself, I have 2 different options for you. You can go ahead and grab my $7 monthly Pinterest template membership called Pin Perfect. Every month, I send you fresh Canva templates designed to save you hours of design time and make pin creation feel light and fun. And if you're ready to go deeper, to grow your organic reach, build trust with aligned clients, and create sustainable Pinterest strategy without the overwhelm, definitely check out my Pintastic Rockstars course, which starts just at $97. So it is designed for business owners like the wonderful Cary, who let me dive into her back end closet, as we were stating in the beginning, who want long-term growth, evergreen traffic, and clarity in their marketing without selling their soul to social media. So both of those offers will be linked in the show notes. And remember, Pinterest isn't about pressure. It's going to be about peace, consistency, and showing up in a way that honors your mission with your business. You've got this, and I've got you. Until next time, keep pinning.
Thanks so much for listening to the Pintastic Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and review on wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.